you know, once they get there and lose it, where they at? Back in the hood. So my thing is we got to stop laughing at these people and start figuring out how to educate them, financial literacy at the same time, because everybody won't make this money, but what you going to do with this money when you get it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what y'all got to go back and look at. And I think that with this book I got coming out, it's called $1 Million Something. I'm going to expose that to the world, to where don't be afraid to talk about your mistakes to these kids so they don't make the same mistakes. I'm going to make sure that Romeo don't make the mistakes I made. Because I'm not going to be afraid to tell him all the bumps that I had in the road and all the good things I did. Okay, do this, but make sure you don't do that, because that ain't going to work.
Hey, could you give us like 3 mistakes you did make?
Well, I think one I did, I brought stuff that was overcost. Like I said, the gold ceiling, that's something that at the end you can't, you know, I can't even sell a house.
Right.
So you see what I'm saying? So the value won't be the same that it was when I brought it, and so it don't even make sense to sell it. It's like a museum now. Also, another mistake I made is, you know, not really understanding accountants and lawyers, because I had one case that Snoop Dogg had made a record and had a lady on the record, and the lady was suing me for like $25,000 because Snoop didn't tell me that she was on the record. So she was like, "You give me 25 G's and I'll go away." But the lawyer, no, we gonna fight this. So I'm like, well, how much? You know, he didn't say at first. Ended up costing me $400,000 to fight it.
Ooh.
You see what I'm saying?
Ooh.
So I could have gave the lady
$25,000 and just been done with it. But the lawyers ain't say that.
You see what I'm saying?
They gonna make that money.
That's where you got to go at and understand that part. Plus my music. I wouldn't have made my music with as much profanity as I made, knowing that I could get called commercials and sponsorships and all those. Because when you're at the peak of your game, you're supposed to get everything out there. Should have had phone commercials, all that type of stuff.
Right.
I was worried about I'm the hottest thing in the world.
You were.
And I'm gonna rap about whatever I want, not thinking about it. You know
but what's wrong with
saying?
that? When you were being true to yourself, though, what's wrong with that?
But also, too, being true to yourself, you got to realize the value that you hold. And some of us don't understand our powers when we at that level. It's like right now, like Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant at his top of his game, he could do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now you look at Allen Iverson when it's time up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's limited things you could do. So I just think at that time we got to think about our power and where we at and how we give this, because also looking at the future, good thing, you know, I got kids now that's in the business that I could give that to, but it would have been a waste. It would have just been to me, you know, making those mistakes and not being able to get that back to somebody that could use that valuable. And I think us too as artists, the ones that's out there listening right now, the older ones, man, y'all got to act y'all place and act y'all age and be who y'all and get that wisdom back to these young cats out here instead of running around trying to be them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not going to be jumping around on the stage like that and be that older, you know, and I'm just not going to do it. You know, when it's like a football player, basketball player, when it's time to retire, your knees go retire. Go open up a business and go do something else and sit back and have
But what if you still have a love for doing it, though, P? You
Man,
still want to get out there?
I ain't going to know what I'm going to tell you. I'm apologize then, because I never was in it for the love. I was always a hustler. I was in it for the money. So it's a difference. If you in it just for the love, to be honest, you don't want to make no money. Like I told you last, you just want to be famous. Then you got to stand on the other side. You know, I learned the game from people that about making money.
Speaking of that, making money, what's the conversation about from Warren Buffett? That's why I want to hear it.
Let me tell you what happened with Warren Buffett, man. And I went into this meeting with Warren Buffett, and this man, older guy sitting there. So I'm with Robert Kiyosaki, Donald Trump, and I'm looking up to
Wow! All right,
wow!
I would love to be there.
So I'm in there with them, and you know me, I'm looking up to them. You know what I'm saying? Thinking, okay, these are the mans right here. So I kept seeing them praising this older guy. So I'm like, who is this older guy y'all talking about? But the older said, man, he's a genius. So I'm like, okay, what he do? He say, oh, he go to the computer, hit one button, and make $1 million. I said, come on, man. And then I looked outside, like we talking about material stuff, right?
Right.
The man had a Honda Accord outside. I'm like, this don't make sense. So I'm looking at, we playing in the wrong game, because when I got in the car with him, right, he said, yeah, that's Warren Buffett. Now look at 10 years later, I found out who Warren, I didn't know who he was. But I knew Donald Trump and Robert Kiyosaki was, because they was already famous. So I'm driving, and I start thinking to myself, you know, Donald was saying, that's my building, that's my bank, you know, and now, you know, I could say that's my house, that's my car, that's my family, but I'm like, I can't say that's my building, That's my bank. So I'm thinking my hustle game ain't really where it's at. And I started looking at what I was doing, and those people was controlling our culture. Mm-hmm. And I started thinking to myself, man, I really had to get myself together because I ain't where I should be at. And I started thinking to myself that, you know what, in order for me to get in corporate America, there's a couple of things I'm going to have to change about myself because people are not having.